So if I wanted to kind of explain, but what I did during this time, as I did this type of learning, which to you is not normal, but to me was just a system that if I can bring alive all of the ancestors and then have with me all of the concepts of science and nature. And what I did, and I had a witness, Miss Brenda Ivy, who saw me in this state, and what she would notice is some pacing and tinkering, but the thoughts and the learning is coming at such a fast pace, and it's spatial. So not only did I have the outfits with those ancestors who I made the judges, I parked in the air each concept that I had. So when I move somewhere else, when I look up, I'm looking at this concept, that concept, that concept. Then I come back to this outfit with this ancestor and say which concept would have applied to them, where did they come from, what was the base of their knowledge, and what was the base of their brilliance, and what was their change. So I'm using scientific concepts and theories, and I'm matching them against each master to say which one knew what, whose theory was what, until I could come up with my own theories. And what I'm saying to you is that what people consider crazy is when someone has original thought and original action. So if I did an experiment where I rode my bike 400 miles with COVID, that's original action with original thought because it was based on science. That presented to those of us that are normal doesn't make sense, because to our knowledge, nothing like this is real. But we judge, and I'm saying to physicians, nurses, nurse practitioners, don't judge. Listen to the people and bring medicine back to Abyssinia by taking a history. This was this person's behavior. What were they doing? Do you understand? So instead of seeing someone in a white gown, right? Who else was with me during that time, Brenda? The music was playing, right? And that music was cerebral music. The music that I like comes from the Caribbean and the East Coast, where I believe there's a greater knowledge. And we maintain oral tradition through the music. So then I had scripture, and I could have music with stimulation. I can have the bus or the outfits, which were the idols or the stuff. Then I had all these concepts in the air. So pacing, walking around, but in silence, because I don't really talk like that, because that's crazy. I'm saying, of having this thinking, this here. Guess what? I never learned in college from books, high school from books. No one's ever seen me read. How did I get to where I was? Everyone just thought I was stupid, but I was different because I had a smarter way of learning. And the answer is, what do you know for sure? So instead of when they were in medical school and they were sitting and writing notes and listening, each concept, I took it, put it up in the air. As a concept came, put it up in the air, put it up in the air. Then after class, when everyone is going to the library and getting ready to study, I go swim, I go play basketball, I go run. But what you do is you put your mind to rest. What if you kept your mind in stimulation and knowledge and nourishment? So while I was playing, I brought this physiologic concept, this structure of the lung and how it worked, the kidney. If I had pharmacology, this drug and its mechanism, where it worked. So as I'm doing stuff, like you're waiting to go sit and read and study to learn. But why are you waiting? If you could stay in learning, right? Because real medicine doesn't come at you at a certain time sitting and studying and you have your books. So the memory recall guys, they memorize, then they take tests. You did it in college, you did it in high school. What did you know for sure from what you studied in school? Nothing. It's the wrong way of learning. So what if you can stay in learning and then you have kids, you have people, right? And instead of, while I'm playing sport, I'm playing. Play with music, playing outside, smoking a cigar. I'm still in study. Then I go play Legos with the kids, and while we're doing that, I'm teaching them this concept, or I'm teaching them about Miyamoto Musashi. So the boys learned, all of them, the Book of Five Rings by the time they were 5. And that's what I wanted them to base on, because that was the one piece of knowledge that I saw could protect them. So I emphasized that, and it was not based off of belief, but fact, because it was the art of the samurai. So if I had to choose, I deciphered, and what I do is I decipher. So I never confused them with the Bible or the Quran or the scripture or that. We chose one, right? But as we played, we had stories of, guess who? Let's say Noah, right? So what if Noah was a daddy that lived in Lumberton on Sydney Street? Once again, another madman, right? Because he starts building this ark. So I'm telling the boys the story of building the ark. And they said, Daddy and the boys, every weekend we go build. And then they say, Daddy, why is he building the ark? Because the matter of it is to extract the value of that story. It's because he had faith. So he was, as I described, meta-quantum, and all the greats, as you look at them, they lived a natural life. A lot were bipolar, studied Newton, because the one psychiatrist that spent hours with me and sought a diagnosis, because I can tell you that no one else has. And his diagnosis was that you have a brain like Isaac Newton. I'm saying to you, we're born equal. Some of us might have a predominance, but we can all have a brain like Isaac Newton, because these people don't study people that are on their done things. They don't study gossip. They stay in nourishment. And I'm saying to you, in a world that we live in, where you have an external brain as well, which is the phone, that's fed in the metaverse with the knowledge that they want you to have. Right? What if someone were walking around with a supercomputer? You are walking around with a supercomputer, and they can never figure it out, because the way your brain can process and learn is amazing. Freud was wrong. He said you were developed 95% by 5 years old. It's you didn't embrace playology. You didn't play with the knowledge, and you didn't stay in nourishment. You just memory recall. And then we measured you to say, who can read this class and study this book and take a test based off of memorizing what they read? Now, what do you understand? Just memory. Okay? Here's the problem. To do that, you have to sit still and study over and over until you can memorize. What that then measures when you take the test is the fact that you could recall what you memorized. So what if I wanted to control men? I would create schools that took the kids so the parents could work. But the point of the school is not to get them to a great knowledge and for them to ascend. It's just to prepare them for work. So in order to prepare them for work, we got to get them ready to sit, to stay on task. So we decide who is better at memorizing and recall, and we call them intelligent. So then the kid who's like me and who's like your kid, who is fidgeting with it, you can switch it over, fidgeting with this, and everybody else is reading right here and on task, and he's like there. You don't realize that he is playing, but he's learning as he plays. ADHD isn't a curse, it's a blessing. Because that child's brain, if we were to offer it stimulation, they don't need less stimulation, they need more. So, what if school, I'm not saying that you go and put a bunch of busted idols, right? What if school had a bunch of masters or teachers, and instead of sitting in a class, you walked up to them and you started talking about any concept? So they could be a chemist, a physicist, a physician, a historian, and then you talked by oral tradition, which is how we learn. Everything I've learned, and I'm not saying everything, because I don't really read, but I can read, and I read tidbits. So if I were to read a book, I read the first couple pages and the last couple pages. Then I park it, and I decipher what the book meant. What I'm saying is the memory recall person will read it cover. Have you read it cover to cover? it cover to cover. Like, what's that do? What knowledge is there? But it's the excitement to learn. So we got to get the kids excited to learn, and then we got to keep them stimulated. This concept is very similar to the Adhd concept as brought up by Kanye West. And my quest and my promise has been to address two particular issues that have plagued us and that we are destroying our kids. One, ADHD. So you give them medication that make them so high. It's not to make them learn, because they're not learning or getting any better. It's just to make them so high that they sit still when you put the paper in front of them. And they stop playing and fidgeting. So the idea is to keep them sitting still. And I mentioned to you, what was the purpose of school? To get you to sit still so you could take orders, so you could work. It wasn't to make you brilliant. It wasn't to bring your knowledge up. So, I'm saying to those that know me, and those that have worked under me, and seeing me, I'm seeking to now explain. But what I've realized in the study of me now revealing the secrets of what I've done, because I ask you, anyone who knows me, have you ever asked me a question that I couldn't answer or give you a lecture on any concept? History, science, sports, medicine. How did I get it? It's not from sitting and reading it, because you've never seen me read a book. And I've only read 2 books cover to cover, Guide and Physiology and Predictably Irrational by Dan Ariely. And I encourage you to read those 2 books. But I want you to take something with you. How time are we? 18. Just try it instead of judging me like you have. And what is amazing is that when the people see of me and what they know, and all you know is what you've seen and then what your interaction was of me. But you know what was the sad part? Is that everyone believed what they were told. So you were told that I was trafficking children at a hotel. You were told that I was locking people in closets. But did anyone call? Did anyone come see me? What was I doing, Brenda? I was studying and learning and writing. And then I was walking around, helping the homeless, studying, helping them, bringing them up, right? Because most of them are mentally afflicted. So I continued my study of mental health people by studying the homeless. And I found a boy, not a boy, he was 24, but he's a boy, who could barely talk. And he said his name was a F, 4-letter word, and then an N, 6-letter word. And that was his state. So I'm saying to you, we're in a world where you're pacifying your kids' brains with TV, And that wasn't good enough. So now they have devices. And now you have medication. So they're parked on their device. You're parked on your device. Where's the knowledge?